Hello everyone, how are you? It's time to look at chromosomes and cell division. We're looking at the instructions for life here. How do you make living organisms using chemistry? First of all, what is the difference between chromosomes, DNA, and genes? You have probably heard these words before, but they can be easily confused. The nucleus of a cell contains DNA, which is a chemical. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and this chemical is able to store information. The DNA in each cell stores around 30,000 pieces of information, and each piece of information is called a gene. Many of these genes are connected into long stretches of DNA, and these long chains of genes are called chromosomes. The DNA in cells makes proteins, which are the body's basic building blocks. Actually, they make amino acids, which are then assembled into proteins. Of course, different species have different numbers of genes and different numbers of chromosomes in their cells. Human body cells, for example, each have 23 pairs of chromosomes, a total of 46 chromosomes altogether in each body cell. If we look at this schematic diagram, you can see the diagram of a cell, which you have probably seen before. All of the genetic material is wrapped up inside the nucleus in chromosomes. As we said above, chromosomes are stretches of information, and each chromosome can be divided up into genes. Let's look a bit closer at DNA. You might have seen something like this before. This is the famous shape of DNA, called a double helix. The spines of the molecule, the beige bands which go around the outside, are connected pairs of sugar phosphate molecules. And each pair is connected by two nucleic bases, which are the coloured sticks in the middle. Each step on the staircase is a part of the spine and then one of the bases, and we call this a nucleotide. There are two nucleotides across the entire molecule. Let's just mention RNA. You might not have heard of RNA before, but it is another kind of chemical which stands for ribonucleic acid. RNA is thought to be the elder cousin of DNA, the first genetic coding material that evolved on Earth, the first time that chemistry could save information. RNA is still important today. It is used in the process of reading and copying DNA, but we won't spend too much time on RNA here. The two main differences are, as you can see, the shape of RNA is not a perfect double helix, and RNA uses another kind of nucleobase called uracil instead of thymine. What are those two chemicals? Well, let's have a look on the next slide. If we unpack a molecule of DNA like this, we can line it up on a flat surface. On the outside you can see the chains of sugar phosphate molecules, and you can see the pairs of nucleotides in the middle, and we call this giant chain of molecules a polynucleotide. Poly is a prefix that means many. There are 4 different nucleotides: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine, or uracil for RNA. Each nucleobase only connects to one other nucleobase, so adenine will only connect with thymine, and cytosine will only connect with guanine. So a molecule of DNA is like a strip of computer code made of the letters A, T, G, and C, and in this way DNA stores the information that writes all of your genetic traits, both those that make you human and also those that decide what kind of human traits you will have. Here are the 23 pairs of chromosomes that come from just one human cell. In every body cell of a human there are 23 pairs, which means 46 chromosomes in all. They are numbered 1 to 22, and then there's one that's labelled X, which we will talk about shortly. 99.9% of your genetic information is the same as every other human being. It is only 0.1% of the information in your chromosomes that makes you a unique person. Let's talk about sexy chromosomes, and this is a sexy chromosome, isn't it? This is one of the chromosomes we saw on the previous slide. Remember the 23rd pair called X? This is an X chromosome, but it is only one form of chromosome 23, and here is the other one, which looks slightly different. This is the Y chromosome, and if you think it is slightly less organized than the X, you'd be right. It has lost a lot of its genetic information over millions of years of evolution. But some people have two X chromosomes as their 23rd pair, and others have an X and a Y. What do you think the difference is between the two of them? Well, the difference is whether the person is a man or a woman. These are the chromosomes that determine biological sex, so we call them not sexy, but sex chromosomes. If your 23rd pair is an XX combination, you will be a woman, and that means you got an X chromosome from your mother and an X chromosome from your father. If your 23rd pair is XY, then you got an X chromosome from your mother and you got a Y chromosome from your father. Of course, this is always a little bit too simple, and less commonly, genetic mutations can happen where people have two X chromosomes and a Y chromosome, or maybe even 3 X chromosomes or other combinations. But for our purposes, this basic situation is fine. Now we're going to finish off by looking at some definitions that we will need to go forward. First of all, what are traits? They are all the things that can make creatures different from each other and from members of their own species. Skin color, ear shape, number of ears, number of legs, all of these are traits that are passed down genetically. Heredity is when traits are passed down from one generation to the next. We can describe traits as being hereditary, but the process of those traits being passed is called heredity. Finally, genetics is the overall study of heredity and generational biology, and the chemistry that controls it. Part of that chemistry is the idea of homologous chromosomes, which is a scary word, but it's just two chromosomes that have the same number. Do you remember the picture of human chromosomes? The pairs were numbered, and numbered pairs kind of looked like each other. So my two copies of chromosome 15 are homologous with each other, and also with your chromosome 15 and everyone else's. Next we have the diploid or diploid number, and this is the number of chromosomes found in the body cells of a creature. Normal body cells are also called somatic cells, and in humans the diploid number is 46, which you will notice is 23 times 2. Finally, we have the haploid number, which is the number of chromosomes found in gametes. Gametes are special sex cells which are used for making new creatures. We normally talk about the haploid number as N and the diploid number as 2N. And in humans, the haploid number is 23, and we get 23 chromosomes from each of our parents, which is why we have 46 chromosomes in most of our cells. So we're going to leave it there for today, but next time we'll look a bit more about how cells reproduce themselves. If you want to get more detailed on DNA and the way it writes itself, you can check out these videos by Hank Green on the Crash Course YouTube channel. These videos will go beyond what we've talked about here and give you a much more detailed introduction to these topics. They are not designed for people who have English as their second language, but they are excellent and detailed introductions. But thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please leave a like on it or subscribe to our channel. Maybe share it with somebody else who is studying with you. Bye for now.